So before the lockdown, if someone had told me that I was going to get green fingers, I would have probably thought it was something about me picking my nose. But the truth is, during lockdown I've found a little bit of an interest in gardening, but not any ordinary gardening. I've got into indoor gardening. Why? Well, I found a way of doing it in a computer-controlled way. You want to know about hydroponics? Let's break it down. So hydroponics is a way of growing plants without using soil. In this case, I'm going to be using a little bit of coconut coir, but there's other ways of using it, such as peat and things like that. And the reason you don't use actual soil is because what you're doing is adding nutrients to water. So the plants will just use the coconut or the peat to grow the roots, just to hold in there. And then they're going to be absorbing all the nutrients, everything that they need, just from the water itself. Of course, indoor, you're not going to have access to too much light unless you're near windows. But this is where you've got artificial lights that will actually reproduce sunlight. Some lights actually have, you've got daylight, and then you've actually got red and blue lights, which are supposed to help with the germination and growth of the seeds. So I'm going to show you a few things that I've been trying out, and we're going to check it out. So let's have a look. So over here we've got one of the simplest ones that I've got. It's basically small pots of coconut coir, and inside them I've put some seeds. Now I've got a variety of different seeds. I've got some one section for chilies, different types of chilies, which is going to be quite fun, quite spicy hopefully. I've got another section here for kind of Italian vegetables, and then another section for herbs. So we'll see how that works. Now with this being very, very simple, all I have to do is just make sure that I just add a little bit of water with nutrients to these pots every few days or so, and we will see how it goes. You can actually see one of them has grown quite well. The reason you've got one little tomato plant there, not much else, is because I actually added too much water previously and I pretty much drowned all of them. Yes, you can actually overwater the plants. So I'm going to try and hold back on that because they actually do need a bit of air in the kind of coconut coir for it to work. So we'll see how that goes. The next step up, of course, is one of these little kind of a hydroponics machine that I've got. And what's nice about this one is that you can fill it with water, and it's got the coconut coir in there. I've put some tomato seeds, and it's got its own little light. So what's great, I can just put it in, leave it, and it will absorb the water, and you can see there's a water level there on the side. What's great is that it's pretty much managing itself in a way. It's absorbing the water, and it will just tell me when I need to refill it. So let's see, I can actually see some of the tomatoes have sprouted. We'll give that a go. But what's really, really cool is the more high-end side of it. And I've got some Aerogarden machines. One is, I just got the small one I got today, which is I'm going to use for growing some lettuce. It'll be really good if I can create my own salad indoors. So there's that, and then I've got this Aerogarden Bounty Elite as well, which is a much bigger one. It can contain 9 pods, and what's great about each pod is a little plastic container that has its own soil, and inside is the seed, and all you have to do is drop it into the hole of the Aerogarden, and the Aerogarden itself is filled with water and its nutrients, and it's got a pump, and what it's doing, a computer is controlling the pump and feeding it like every day and circulating the water, and it also has its own light. Now the computer controls the lighting of it as well, and it's on a timer so that it starts about 8 o'clock in the morning, and it turns the light on, and it goes until about, in this particular case I'm growing herbs, which is like basil and parsley and mint. And what it's doing, it's turning on the light and it's turning off the light automatically. And this particular model, I can actually, I've set it so that it gradually turns on the light and gradually turns off the light. So you've got a kind of a sunrise and sunset kind of feeling to it, which is quite nice. And because it's controlling the lights, it's controlling the water, all it's basically telling me is how long it's been growing for and when I need to either refill the water or add more nutrients. So it's really good. And as you can see, I've been growing that now for almost 2 weeks, and you can see it's going out really, really nicely. So I'm really pleased with that. So that's why I got another smaller one to try and get some lettuce, and we'll see how that goes. But you don't need to spend a lot of money to try this yourself. One of the ones that I'm really proud of is this one over here. And it's basically, you can see it's got tin foil around it, and you can see it's got coconut coir inside it, and I'm growing my own tomato. And all you need to do that is get one of these. Now I'm going to show you what you need to do. So you've got yourself a bottle of Coke, or any kind of soft drink, I should say. There are other brands available. So make sure you've drunk it, which is the fun part. And then you've got your empty bottle. What you need to do is cut the top, I'd say probably top third of the bottle. There's some grooves on there that you can see. I would cut from the top groove. Cut that off, and that will give you the top container. And this is where we're actually going to put coconut coir. These are the things that you need. 1, a bottle of empty soda. 1 rope made of cotton, and cotton is really good because it absorbs water. You need some coconut coir. You can get them as discs. We'll just be using one of those today. And you need some tin foil or aluminium foil or aluminum foil, depending where you are. So once you've got all of those, all you need to do is cut the top third of the bottle, and I'll show you how that is done. Once you've got that, I would drill a hole in the lid of that bottle. Let's put it on there, just in case. Yay! Oh shit, made a hole in the box. So I'm going to try and make this slightly bigger. I'm just getting that slightly bigger one. I'm just going to try and just dig out that hole slightly more. This will help the rope to go through. There we go. A little bit better. I would then thread through the cotton rope through the lid. Yay! Okay, look at that. And that will create a wick. And now you're going to fill the bottom half of the bottle with water and nutrients. And you can use something like Miracle-Gro. Not sponsored by them, but it's very good. And what the wick will do is take the water and the nutrients out, and it will go into the coconut coir that we're going to put into the top half. Add your seeds, and you've basically got yourself a nice little hydroponics system for next to nothing. Now the reason you're using the tin foil is because you don't want the water to be exposed to sunlight, especially from the window or from anything else. So you wrap everything in the tin foil to avoid sunlight going onto it, otherwise algae will grow. So let's give that a go. Okay, so as you can see, we have got this ready. What I've done is put the wick, and it's got a lot of wick at the top there, which is where all the nutrients will come out. So let's get the soil ready. So what we'll need is a bowl, and we're going to use some of this coconut coir. So it comes in discs. What I'm going to do is grab one of these coconut coir discs, place it in the bowl. Now what you need to do, this particular one says it needs 250 milliliters of water, and we need to leave that for 20 minutes. And what will happen is that this coconut disc will expand. I'll then be able to break it down, and it will turn into a kind of a soil that I'll be able to put into there. So let's see what happens. Okay, so that looks like it's absorbed all the water. Let's break it up. Are you ready? Let's break it down. So now, it's turned into one big massive burger. I'm just going to use my hands and break it up. And this turns into kind of a soil-like kind of medium, which is pretty cool. If there's any clumpy bits, I'm just going to break them up. It's a bit clumpy there, I'm just going to squeeze it, right? And it actually feels like soil, which is really nice. And now that I've got this, I'm quite happy with it. Just going to add it to there and put it in. Now you've noticed how I've put the string, the rope is in there. And that's going to be bringing out the nutrients. You know what? There's one more step we need to do for this to actually work. So this is where I'm going to be filling this up, but before it gets a bit too complicated, I think we need to add water. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab some of this. This is Microgreens. This is the plant food. Now it tells me that I need half a cap per litre, and I'm going to do half a litre, so I need a quarter. So I'm going to do quarter there, put that in, simple as that, and now I'm just going to fill this with water. Yep. And now, I'm just going to fill that with water right there. That's it. I'll do one more. Okay, so now that that's in there, I can add, let's add that in there. And I can go all the way down. Oops. There we go. That's looking great. So now all I need to do is just continue adding the soil to this. So you can see the rope is there. This is the liquid water with nutrients. It's going through, and that is going to put the nutrients into this soil. Okay, so I've put that all together. I'm going to be adding a bit of lettuce seeds, and we're going to see how that goes. Okay, so I've got some lettuce seeds, which I've got there. I'm going to make a little hole in here. Just dump these seeds in there. And we'll see if this actually makes any difference. And hopefully, in about a week or so, we will see if that's making any difference. What I'm going to do, though, I'm going to just water it slightly, just to make sure that this has some nutrients on the top. And there you go. But there is one more thing that we have forgotten. That is this. I'm going to wrap this around here just to make sure that the algae does not grow. And there you go. Indoor hydroponics for a couple of quid. Yeah! So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this next to this machine and take advantage of the light. So we'll come back to that, and in about a week and see how it's going. Yeah. So I'm going to come back to that in about a week, and we're going to see how that has done. We're going to see if the lettuce and anything else has actually grown. And the next step, of course, is I'm going to try and grow some microgreens. What's good about microgreens, all I need to do is grab a tray, add some seeds like cress or radish or broccoli, put those in, and within about 7 days, hopefully, that will grow some little sprouty type things that I'll be able to cut out and use as a salad. So let's try that out. So it's a couple of days later, and I have an order for some big trays to come in so I can start doing some microgreens. They haven't arrived yet. I'm getting a bit anxious. So I thought, because I'm a little bit impatient, what could I use to start doing this? And I thought, wait a second, I've got these kind of takeaway little containers. I thought maybe I could just use one of these. So what you need is like 3 of this. This is the theory anyway. So you need 3. The bottom one that you're going to use is going to be the base, and it's going to contain any kind of water and stuff. Now the next one is going to contain the soil, and this is going to go inside this. So this is going to go inside here, but what I've done is I've drilled some holes into this. Now the reason I've done that is I'm going to put the soil in, and once the microgreens start growing, the roots will come out, they'll go through the holes, and we can start putting water into the bottom without having to put water on the top. So that should avoid mold and stuff like that, but we'll spray it for the first few days from the top. So that's the idea. So I'm going to put the soil and the seeds in this one, put this on top of here, and once that's done, I'm going to place another one on top to kind of black it all out. Now the reason I'm going to do that is so that the theory is that the seeds will still think that they are underground, and so they'll really try and push up, try and reach the light, which means that they'll become much taller. So if I do that for, say, about 3 days, we'll take a look and see how they have done. After that, we can see if we're going to put them to the light, and we'll give that a go. So that's the theory. Let's give it a go. So we've got the base, which is here. It's all about the base, no trouble. And then we've got the next one, which is the one with the holes. I'm going to put that in there, like so. I'm now going to fill this one up with soil. So I've got all the soil in another tray. I'm just going to fill this up, like so. That's all good. I'm just going to flatten this all out so it's all nice. So that should be pretty good. This is actually leftover soil that I was using for some of the other stuff. So that's all nice and flat. Now what we want to do, I've got a bag of cress seeds, which I ordered off Amazon. I am going to try and use some of these, sprinkle some of these all over, try and keep them quite even if possible. You really don't want to try and clump them together, apparently. Well, we will give that a go. So the last part of this is now just going to water it with my little watering thing. Watered really nicely. So I'm just going to put that on top there. And that's it. So now I'm just going to leave it there and we will see. I think what I'll do is water it day in the morning and in the night time, and hopefully that should work. Let's come back in about 3 days and see how it's doing. Well, it has been 7 days, and we're going to find out how all of those things have been doing. But I've been doing some stuff in between, so let's talk through what happened 3 days later. So I started getting a little bit on the bored side, and I thought, why deal with just one tray So I decided to create another 3. So the first one, I put radish seeds in there. I've got a third one there, a second one there, and what I've done is I've soaked some peas overnight. There's going to be pea shoots, and in a glass here I've got sunflower seeds. So I left those soaking like overnight, and I'm going to be putting those onto those new trays. Let's go and have a look at how, after 3 days, those cress seeds are doing. And they're starting to sprout, not too bad. So yeah, give that a little bit longer and we'll see how that goes. So I emptied the jars out and put the peas and the sunflower seeds onto the little tray. The difference with these trays though were I got a little bit lazy and I kind of wanted to see, do I really need to drill those holes into the thing? So I just found some spare little containers, put soil in it. I didn't have another container underneath. So all 3 of the ones that you're just seeing are just containers with some coconut coir, and we're putting the stuff on them. So will it work? Will it not? I don't know. But let's go back to the cress. On day 4, how did it look? We've got the container, let's open it up. Oh, you can see it's starting to sprout, that's amazing. Give it a bit of a water spray, make sure it's nice and hydrated, and that is looking pretty good. I'll put that cover back on, but this time I'll turn it upside down. Now what that does, it blacks it out. It keeps it in the dark but gives it space to grow, which is pretty nice. Let's also take a look and see how the others were doing a day later. So the radishes, let's take a quick look at that a day later. Oh yes, they are spreading nicely, sprouting. They're doing quite well. Let's take a look at the peas. Okay, so you can see they are starting to kind of do stuff. That's quite good. Keep the weight on there. That kind of drives the roots down. And as for the sunflower seeds, it just looks like sunflower soup to me. This is... hopefully they're absorbing the water, but I'm not too sure. Maybe it's a bit too much water. That's not all. The next day, what I did was... Remember I had those little plastic pots with all those seeds that I put in? Nothing was happening with those. And I'm beginning to believe that it was because I don't think you can reuse coconut coir once you've used it. I think something about the roots of like dead plants will cause anything else that you try to grow in it just not to grow. So I dumped the lot, and this is what I did. I emptied that out and replaced it, and I put a big tray, a bit like the a big version of the cress pot, but a big version, one with holes, one with no holes, and covered it with soil. And then I sowed all the seeds that I had. So I've got tomato, I've got lettuce, I've got spring onion, I've got peppers, I've got chilies, I've got basil, I've got mint, I've got thyme, everything is all in there in lines. So that should be quite fun, and it's using light from the other machines nearby to actually grow. So hopefully that will be good. In the hydroponics little pot thing that I've got, the little machine, it's one's got tomatoes, the other one's got lettuce. We'll see if that does anything. But let's take a look at how the big machine is doing. So yeah, you can see here, oh, my basil is doing amazingly. It's done really well. The parsley, the chives, everything's doing really well, which is really good. In the background there you can see the little tomato plant, which is quite good. But these are doing quite well. They're almost ready. I might actually start to harvest some of these. Now there are really good techniques for harvesting basil. What you need to do is go from the top and go down the main shoot until you get to the bit that's branching out, 2 leaves branching out, and cut kind of just a little bit above that. And what that will do is redistribute the growth hormone into the other leaves, and it will actually help it to grow. So using my little trimming tool, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a little cut just there. I already made a couple of cuts and gave that to my dad for some cooking, but I just want to cut one more just to show you exactly what. So let's cut it from there, and snippety snip. Just make sure it's just above those 2, so it will help it promote some of that growth. And there we go, we've got. So now what am I going to do with that? I'm going to take that down to the kitchen, I'm going to wash it, I'm going to dry it up, and we're going to now chop it up. Got a professional chef to chop that up, and we're going to be adding it to a nice Italian meal of some freshly homemade pizza. So that is quite nice and quite tasty. Mwah. Amazing. So that's my tomato. It's been growing quite well, and this is where I transplanted my other tomato. Hopefully it will help it to survive. It looks quite poorly at the moment. I'm hoping a little bit of exposure to that and the fresh nutrients and fresh soil will help it to grow, but I'm not sure. Hopefully that will help it. We'll see. This is the cress. As you can see, they are growing quite nicely. Let's keep those in blackout for the moment. We'll be exposing those tomorrow. These are the peas. You can see that they are sprouting. I'm a little bit worried that they are on top of each other, but that is okay. And that's our sunflower soup. So that could be a problem. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any sprouting on that as of yet. That could be an issue. I'm not sure, but what I decided to do was actually drain out that sunflower seeds to try and make it a little bit drier. So I just put it basically in the sink and just tipped it, and any of the water that was captured inside the coconut core would just be drained, and that was quite nice because it just became a bit drier. So another day later, and the cress comes out of blackout, and you can see they are all yellow. That's because they haven't been exposed to the light. Now that's a pretty good position to put them in, but I thought, wait a second, I've got that tray there, but nothing's actually popped up yet. So what I could do, take it out of there and just place it on top, the new kind of like thing, and that should expose it a bit better to light, so hopefully that will do quite well. But what was I going to do about the peas, because there was just too many of them on top of each other? Well, this is what I did. I've got a big bucket of soil. I got a pot, and I'm going to be transporting some of those. I'm going to take the soil, I'm going to put it into the pot, and I'm going to just try and transplant them. This is like one brick of coconut core that goes into the bucket, and it expanded completely, just like the other one, but a big version. So it's like 9 litres. And I created another little bed there. And what I wanted to do is take any of the peas that were kind of on top of each other and just put them in the other one. So that's exactly what I did. So I flattened that one out, taken this one, and just tried to basically transport them. But you can see, I think those are the roots. I don't know if that's going to cause an issue or not, but hopefully it won't, and that'll be good. The problem is that now I've got 2 trays of peas and only 1 extra tray for covering. So how am I going to do this? Bit of a predicament. I got an idea. Hang on. Why don't I put this one on top of that one, and then put that on top of there, and now I can add the weight. There you go. Bingo. Problem solved. Well, the moment of truth. It's been 7 days. But how did the lettuce grow? Remember, we had the hydroponics one that we created ourselves with a bottle, and we have the machine one, which is an expensive machine. It's quite good, and you've got 6 pods in there. So did anything grow? Let us see. Well, the hydroponics machine has done really well, and I can see 4 out of the 6 pods have actually started growing, and they're doing really well. Unfortunately, 2 of the pods failed. But that's okay. What I've done, I've taken those 2 out and I've replaced them with, I had 1 spare, and then I've got 1 from another company. So I've put those in, and I'll let those grow and see what happens. So I've got 2 kind of busted old ones, but don't throw those away just yet, because maybe I'll be able to do something with those. Leave it alone. Let's take a look at the kind of like 2 litre bottle of Coke and see how that's done. Oh wow, that's really sprouted. So both of them have done really well, and I'm really proud of the Coke bottle one. So that's good. So what am I going to do with those 2 failed pods? Well, having a look at them, I thought, maybe I could use this for something. So maybe I could create my own little hydroponics system. So what I did, I found an empty tub of something. You could use ice cream. In this case, I had an empty tub of tzatziki. And what I did, I poked a couple of holes into them. And I filled the tub up with, it's actually 1 litre of water with nutrients, which is exactly the same as what the bottle holds. The pods actually come with little sponges, but what I've done, I've kept one as a sponge and one with coconut coir that I've replaced, and I've put lettuce seeds in both of them. And as an interesting experiment, it'd be interesting to see what happens if which one does better or not. And so I'm going to place those onto the tub, and hopefully this is using something called the Krat key method, and what that allows it to do is, the theory is that once it starts growing, it will put the roots down into the actual water, and it will be able to suck everything out that it needs for nutrients and stuff. So that's the idea. We will see how that goes. And what I did was take it, and the crest that I moved onto the other place, I've put it in its place. So there it is. It's now exposed to some of the lights from the other machines, and hopefully that will grow, and we will have to wait and see what happens. Maybe we'll give it 3 days. Let's have a quick peek in the future in 3 days' time and see if those have actually grown. So 3 days later, let's take a look at the sponge. Yes, you can see something is growing there. That's good. And let's take a look at the soil, the coconut coir. Yeah, something is growing there as well. So both are successful. Well, there you go. Did they grow? I don't know, but you do. That's interesting. That's the power of editing. So the one last thing I was going to do was take the idea of the cress and try and make a bigger version of that. So what I did was get my bucket with the coir. I've got one empty one with there's no holes in the base, and there's one with the holes, and I've put the coconut coir into that, and that is now ready. And what I have done is started soaking some cress seeds. I started doing that yesterday. Cress seeds in a jar, and remember before I had actually sprinkled the cress seeds directly on and sprayed them. This time I am soaking the cress seeds for 24 hours and then we'll put them on. So let's see how that will go. So let's take a look at what we have under here. So these ones are sesame seed, this is peas, and this is radish. I can see that they are just beginning to sprout, so that's taken quite a long time, and you can see they are starting to sprout, which is good, and these are the extra ones that I've taken out as well. Now this one I'm actually going to be uncovering properly today because I'm going to be exposing it to the light. Now as you saw with the cress, they were yellow when we uncovered them, and now they've actually turned green in the light, which is great. So we're going to do that as well with the radishes. Ta-da! So that's cool. So they are yellow, but after we expose them to the light, they should be a bit better. And so the other thing that we're going to be doing today is, let's temporarily move these ones back, is we created a big version of the little cress experiment that we did. So what we did for the cress is we sprinkled cress seeds on top and we sprayed it. What I've done with this though is I have actually had cress seeds inside a jar of water overnight. Actually it's been there for nearly 24 hours. So what I'm going to do is they've actually expanded. It was only about there, and they've expanded a lot. I am going to be putting this into here, so it should be a kind of a nice liquidy type thing. I think it's going to become more like a gel, but we will see. So I'm going to open these ones up, and I think, so I've opened it up, I'm going to pour these in. It's almost like I was spelling out something. And now you just need to make sure that they're spread out. That's it. So now I'm going to cover that back up and leave that for a few days. And we hopefully will see how that goes. But that's not all. Now we are going to be moving all this stuff back. And now we're going to be introducing a light. So what I have got here is a light that I'm going to attach to the base here. And there's 2 grow lights and 2 normal kind of lights. So let's see if I just lift this up and attach it. I can adjust these in any way that I want. So there you go. So 2 different lights. I've got a cable, and this plugs into a USB plug, which I've got back here already. Now what's good about this one is that when I turn it on, I can either have just the 2 grow lights, just the 2 daylight, or all 4 of those. And because of these controls, I can actually choose if I want it to be for 3 hours, 6 hours, or 12 hours a day. So I'll keep it on 12 hours. That's good. So now that means any of the things that we are growing here, maybe I'll put those 2 specifically for that, and then these 2 can be over here for whatever gets uncovered next. And I think that is pretty exciting. I like it! As you can see, these are yellow. They will start to go green with the exposure to the light. There is one final thing that I'm going to experiment with, and the tray that I have that's got lots of different seeds in there, if I wanted to create an automatic watering system, I was thinking if the wick inside the Coke bottle works by absorbing water in and going into the soil, then maybe I could do something similar. So what I've done is ordered some cotton rope or string, and what I could do is put that into the soil and have that coming out and maybe going into a vase or a vase or a bottle, and have that so that when the soil starts to get dry, it will automatically kind of suck the water and nutrients out of the vase and into the soil. So hopefully that's another little project that I have done. And there you go. It's been an interesting video to make. I've really enjoyed actually putting it all together and testing it all out and making sure that, you know, trying to go through everything and just learn the process of trying to grow food indoors, plants and everything. And it's just really fun. And I think during lockdown it's quite important that we all learn to grow our own food just in case. The tomato plant has been doing quite well. The little one hopefully is doing okay. I'll try and save it. But what I've done is planted another tomato seed around there as well. So hopefully, even if that one passes away, there will be another one to take its place. The basil and all the stuff in the big machines are doing quite good. So that's it. That's the end of the video. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have putting it together. It's been quite fun kind of growing food at home, indoor gardening, and I'm really looking forward to having some cress and radish, microgreen salad. It should be quite fun. So the only thing that you need to remember is that growing lettuce can be dangerous. There was a case where the Titanic actually crashed into one of these, an iceberg. So until next time, good luck, be safe, and enjoy indoor gardening. Until next time, bye bye.